room because I don't want my wife to wake up. She's right in this end bedroom here. So anyway, but finally back down here. Got a lot of work to do today. Gonna be getting the bilge pump finalized. I love this. The tarp stayed nice and solid all the time I was gone. No problem. Everything shed the water without pooling and all this kind of stuff. And anyway, it means it's going to be nice and dry inside the boat without having any of that stuff leaking through the old tarp. So anyway, I'm going to get started. Get everything unwrapped here and get going. It's 35 degrees. It's going to be a nice morning. My brother and I are going to be going kayaking at 10 o'clock and going to get to use my newly refurbished kayak. Well, not newly refurbished anymore. It's a month and a half ago, I think, since the last time we were down here, and I did all the work on it. But anyway, gonna be a nice day on Cape Cod. Bit of yak stuff here this morning. This is my cell phone camera holder that my son gave me. I love the thing. And we're going kayaking. And I thought, you know what, that'd be so awesome if I could just have this mounted somewhere so I can pay attention to paddling without having to hassle with this. So I went downstairs to my dad's big can of nuts and bolts, and I got this thing, and I'll tell you what, well, there we go. Where'd it go? Here we go. This fits this perfectly. I mean, it's just absolutely perfect fit for the threading on this. And the cool thing, it's just about exactly the right size. And so what I'm going to do, this is dead center. I'm going to drill a hole here right dead center up on the deck, foredeck, and bring it through. And I've got a whole bunch of nuts here, exactly the right size. Lock it down, and then I'll thread this down onto it, and I can use one of these as to lock up into this and hold it in place forward. And anyway, it should be good. And once I get that done, I'm ready. And take my cell phone that I'm using right now, lock it into this thing, facing forward, going down the river, and actually coming out of Prince Cove and down the river there. And should be really nice. Looking forward to it. And as it turns out, got a bit of sunshine here today. Going to be pretty as we make our paddle down the river. So looking forward to that. Here it is. It doesn't look like much, but this one little screw that's threaded up through the deck, okay, and you watch this. It's going to work out perfect. I've had to adjust it about a half dozen times, but it works. This threads on just like this, okay, and it gets up just like this. And then what happens is you just take this, slide it in like that, and as you're going down, as you're paddling, you're looking straight down the front of your kayak. Anyway, works like a charm, and I'm going to leave it just like that, and I'll probably do something to secure that screw in a way. It's actually locked down on itself. I've got one nut on top of the other locked down, but anyway, in that position, this camera cell phone holder goes directly into position exactly the way it needs to be, so it's looking right down the front of your kayak. Anyway, that's my little arrangement, and it's going to be awesome. So that we're going to be able to be paddling. I'm not even going to have to pay attention. I can just reach up and shut this off or turn it back on or whatever as we're doing our kayaking. And it's completely out of the way. I mean, this is not going to interfere in any way, shape, or form with my paddling. So anyway, it should be fun. Waiting for my brother here. Here he comes.
think? It's gonna work for you?
Oh yeah. No leaks. Yeah.
Happy camper now, aren't you?
Happy camper, you bet I am. This is my yak. Thank you very much, Gary. Yes, I did. But thank you. I mean, I wouldn't have had the yak to begin with to even work on if it wasn't for you giving this to me. And you know what? Doing all the work actually makes it better. You know, it makes you feel like you're invested in it, you know? Yeah. And I'm watching the bottom of the kayak and I got no leaks. I'm just counting my blessings. Life is good. Oh, Prince Cove is just so beautiful, man. So you've seen swans down in this area we're going? Is that right?
But it's probably migratory.
Yeah. Yeah. Mom said she saw a whole bunch of geese returning the other day. I'm surprised they're not all here already. Oh, sure. Yeah, I know who he is. I've only watched about 200 of his programs. Well, it's not that any of us copy his work, but we have an admiration for somebody at least that we can identify with being on the television. You know?
The way he would make stuff happen.
Oh yeah.
Excellent.
And I mean, there's some really good lessons you can learn from him of techniques, you know. So.
But when I look at the top of the tree sometimes,
yeah.
I say it's like Bob Ross hair.
Well said. Well said. But I love this little bay we're going into. This is just gorgeous back in here. These little $500,000 cottages, you know. You think so? Oh yeah. I mean, I'd take that little one right there. You know that one right there, that little one? I'd take that one. That's a heron, isn't it? Oh, that's a goose, Canada goose. Yeah, I see him.
You know what? Probably got a nest right there. Not real happy we're out here.
Yeah. Yeah, that Canada goose is says, "Why are you in my neighborhood? You can leave now."
Just tell him that you're Mr. Rogers.
This cute little buffalo head. Yeah, that goose is not happy.
Yeah, and get that. And where she's at is an ideal location
for a nest. Yeah.
They always try to get out away someplace like that.
Okay, I think I'm going to steer away from her.
Come around down here. Are you going to go up in there?
No. I'll stick with you. She's saying, "Go away! Go away!"
There's the other one right there.
Oh yeah, there it is. Yeah. Swing the kayak around so you can see them. There's a pair of Canada geese right there, straight ahead. And I think the female has been honking at us ever since we showed up in the bay here. So anyway, we're going to bug out and leave them to be. There may be a nest in there, we don't know. But I'm thinking there's a nest the way she's poking down at the ground. Cool. All the little buffle head took off. Oh, there they are. Straight ahead. I'm going to shut this off for a while, maybe do some on the return trip. But I mean, it is just a glorious, glorious Cape Cod day. Temperature in mid-50s. Beautiful sunlight. And nice to be out in my own kayak that is not leaking. My little camera stand is working like a charm. And boy, it just doesn't get any better than this. One of the many things I was going to try to get done this trip, and it looks like I'm not going to get many done, but here we are out on the leech of Little Girl's mainsail. And there's a clue down here. All this is in pretty good shape. It's extremely well reinforced original equipment. Keep in mind here, this sail, if it is original to Little Girl, and I have no reason to believe it isn't, this sail is 48 years old. She was built in 1970. At least that's the best information I have on her. The problem is, over the years, she has been patched and repatched many, many times. There's all kinds of patches all over this thing. And I think that Dacron back then is not what Dacron is today. I think they've made some improvements. Here's the problem. Matter of fact, I'm going to start right here with this, because this kind of gives you a hint. This looks like a reinforcement tape, much later than the original sail that they bound over it and then did the double stitch, and that's fine. I did a good job on all that. But the problem is that they had begun little tears along the leech coming in from the very outer edge. And what they did in this case, they took a little point of Dacron and did it on both sides, by the way, both sides, okay? And stitched it right in with the reinforcement tape that went along the outer edge. Problem with that is, over time, and the sail moving and shifting with the wind, look what happens. You've actually got a hole there, because this point of stiff Dacron from both sides stitched into place, it has no other, you know, it becomes a very rigid piece of sail there. And as a result, ends up wearing a hole, literally right through the main part of the sail, you know, right through the material. And when they did that, you know, let me just back up here. I think what they were trying to solve here is what you see going on all along the edge, okay? Let me just kind of move up here. Right here, I don't know if you can see this, a little hole starting right here. Here's another little rip. I think this is going on all along the edge. And up here, here's the main one. This is going out and actually starts way back here. You can tell it's headed that direction, but it moves on out like this. And so, in order to solve that problem a long time ago, they went ahead and put this little thing in. The problem is, it was not the best solution, because it just ended up creating another problem. So my idea is to go ahead and reinforce both sides. I've got 3-inch sail tape. It's the stuff you get from West Marine. I've got 3-inch sail tape. It's very light stuff, by the way. It's not real heavy Dacron at all, but it is Dacron sail tape. And I'm going to go ahead and give it about 19 inches, which will fall about right here, which will cover this one, and then it'll go all the way down and end just above this reinforcement right here. So far, this is not punched through the way that this has. But if I get this right and I get it to lay nice and flat, I'm going to be able to encompass this. I asked my wife about this, who is a really good seamstress, and she was saying the problem here is that if you take this out, you're undoing stitching that is part of this whole back stitch, or back reinforcement that goes all along the edge. And so I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to take that out, because the stitching literally just continues right over the top of that little point set that is, you know, goes to each side. Okay, so next step is go ahead and put the Dacron sail tape for about 19 inches all the way from right here all the way up to past this rip right here. Where is it? Where we go? Right there. Yeah, right. Here we go. Get it up. Right there. To pass this rip. The 3 inches will get it. It will probably come out to right about there. And so that's my plan, and just pass it right here. So we'll see how that goes. And the beauty of it is, I think with actually the lighter sail tape on both sides, it actually will probably bend and move with the sail a lot better than this really heavy. This was heavy Dacron they were stitching on here. This is not light stuff. I'm sorry, down here. This is not light stuff. This is pretty heavy stuff that they were stitching on. And I think that's the very reason we've got a hole in there right now. My wife said that don't, as I said, don't take this out. You don't want to mess up the, right now that's solid. And so we're going to try to go ahead and get the sail tape to go right over it and go right into this corner down here where it comes up from the clew, and your reinforcements end right there. So, all right, that's the process, and I'll let you see how this all turns out in a minute. This is the back side, and let's get that all reinforced. Okay, this is runs nice and cleanly all along the leech here, pretty nice and straight. The other side, because it was my first side doing it, and by the way, you see where the rip was right in there. The other side, because I was just getting used to it, and obviously, being a sail, it is not perfectly straight. I don't think it's designed to be. But over on this side, where I did let me pull this out. Okay. Not bad. It looks about the same here. Again, reinforcing where that point was. And so now you have a layer of Dacron, the original sail, the point, and then the other one on the other side. And it gives it enough strength and flexibility where I don't think it's going to go anywhere. And all along here, there's some little tears and little holes and so forth. That's all reinforced. Now, I got up here, because I was still learning. This didn't want to follow the edge, and you can see it crept in on me about 1/4 of an inch by the time it gets up to the top. And I didn't like that. And besides that, on where that one rip was, and there were a couple of other smaller rips, I went ahead and reinforced it for 8 inches down. So now you actually have 3 layers of this Dacron reinforcing on each side of the original sail. Anyway, it doesn't look great, but you know what? It looks as good or better than a lot of the repairs that have been made to this sail over the years, and it'll hold me for this year anyway. This was the major one. Getting that taken care of. By the way, there's a big part of this is when you're doing this, putting the sail tape on, try to get your edges as straight as you can. And for this kind of a repair anyway, okay, you try to get your edge as straight as you can to let the sail tape follow it. But then on top of that, you've got to have, I use a piece of masonite here. You've got to be able to have something, because when you're putting the sail tape on, I've seen this in other videos, you're putting the sail tape on, man, you want to be taking the backing off little by little, and as you do, you be rubbing it in, and then pull a little more of the backing off and rubbing it in, and just keep doing that all the way down the line. Don't take it off all at once, or you're going to have a mess. The tape wants to lay where it wants to lay, and so it's best to control it as you're peeling the backing off. Here's some of the backing right here. You can see it's kind of a heavy plasticized, and this is the slick side that the sail tape is connected to, or on. And just pull it off a little bit at a time. Seat it right to begin with. When you get it seated right, right where you want it, okay, then you start peeling it off and just peel it off. And I think I got right to about here, and just a little bit pull it back, and as you're doing it, rub in and what you're doing is getting a really good solid contact of of the sail tape to the sail. And anyway, it worked, and all reinforced. One less thing I got to hassle about. Okay, next thing on the sails for this trip. A long time ago, and it was in another one of my videos, I had cut. Here, let me pause this just for a second. A long time ago, I had ordered 7 feet of batten material, cut my own battens, smoothed them off, made them nice and rounded and smooth, and sanded them, polished them. So anyway, now I've got sail battens for my whole sail, because there were none that came with this. Okay, here's the thing. Here's one of the batten pockets. Let me move this out of the way. Okay, here's one of the batten pockets. And if somebody wants to comment on this, fine. Let me see if I can get this in. Yep, there we go. I think I'm in. Yep, there it is. Okay, I'm going back. The problem is I miscalculated the length. And these are coming up a little bit short. Let me push that all the way in. Come on, baby. Get in. There we go. There we go. Okay. My goodness, by the time I get that all the way down in, and I thought I'd measured it. Okay, that is all the way into the tip of the pocket down there, right? Okay, coming back, and you can see where this thing ends right here. It's almost 3 inches from the leech. And I don't like that. And I thought I'd measured these things correctly when I cut them and everything. I don't know what's happening. Of course, part of the solution might be that I could push these back and put a stitch in up there to hold it, stitch across there to hold it so that it comes all the way out to the edge. But those of you guys who know your sail battens, let me know. I probably blew it. I may have to cut some more sail battens. But anyway, it's like that on, there are 3 battens, all of them, actually 4 battens. 3 of the longer ones like this, and the one short one that's up in the head. Actually, the one that's up in the head of the sail is actually pretty good. That's pretty much exactly the right length it needs to be. So anyway, so discouraging, because I've been waiting all this time to get the sail laid out and get it put in place and see how these sail battens fit. And now, if I slide that all the way down into the end of the pocket, okay, man, I'm 3 inches from the leech of the sail, from the very back, and that bothers me. That means that the wind is going to be wanting to pull around the edges of it, I think. Anyway, guys, if you got a comment, let me know. I probably blew it. I may have to cut some more battens. But in the meantime, it's a cheaper way to go, by the way. You buy this batten material from, and it's fairly cheap. One of the few things is cheap, from West Marine. And cut your own. And you cut them, and like I said, the only thing you got to watch out for, this fiberglass, these are fiberglass. And they'll give you slivers if you're not careful. And so cut them, and then very carefully shape them with a file, and then sand them, and then polish them with some steel wool, and that way they'll kind of be nice and neat and smooth, and everything will slide right into the pocket, and you'll have some good sail battens. So anyway, that's it for sails for this trip, I think. And now I'm going to pack this baby all up and put it away, and put it out with all my other stuff out in the furnace room where I have all my sail stuff saved aside. So thanks for watching this segment. On to the next one. Since I was just looking at the sail and getting that repaired, I decided to wander in this back little corridor back behind the downstairs bedroom and look at my boom. And I'd known this was broken for a while. This is the cleat that is used to when you get your sail all in. Here's the track that the rope bottom of the sail slides into this. And anyway, this is what you use to cleat off your everything on on the outer end of the boom, particularly the back of the sail, I guess. Anyway, I noticed a long time ago this is broken, and so I tried to just do a regular big old fat screwdriver in it, which is the right tool, but forget it. I mean, keep in mind here, this boom is 48 years old, and it shows it. I mean, it shows a lot of oxidation and age to its years. And so I did the only thing I could do for now, and I'm not going to try to force these screws, because I'll tell you what's going to happen. I'm going to strip them. And so for right now, I did WD-40 on them and really hit them hard with some WD-40 in the tops of them to try to leave a pool there and down underneath and so forth. I've got some PB Blaster up at home, and I may bring that down and see if that helps anything, but that's a pain. I got to replace this. There's no doubt about it. Anyway, it just goes with having a very old boat and very old equipment that goes on the boat. So, all right, that's for next trip. We'll doctor it maybe one time before we leave, get another dose of the WD, and try next time to see whether or not we can loosen up these screws and get that old cleat off and put a new one on. This is the very last segment. I'm out here. We just went to supper down at Seafood Sam's, me, my brother and his wife, and my mom and dad, and we got back, and it's now 8:30. I got to get this boat wrapped up. But in the meantime, this is my last segment. Here it is. This is what I've got arranged for a future table. This is a little piece of that mahogany, and I'm using it just as a template. I'll show you this in a minute, but basically I've got this set up exactly the way I mentioned in the last video. What we're going to do here, I've measured this off from the seat, because the seat is level with the rest of the hull, and I measured, from front and back on this up to the edge of the table, and then I measured out front here. And so what I come up with is real simple. The table leg, the table leg has to meet the bottom edge of the table at 24 3/4. At 24 3/4. And when you sit at this thing, it's perfect height, just absolutely perfect. I'm going to narrow this table a little bit because I want to be able to have it so that it lands properly on the ledge back there. I'll show you how I've got that set up in a minute. Right now those are just blocks clamped on. But anyway, I think this is going to work. And probably round these. I don't know if I'll round this or not, but I'm going to shorten this by a little bit. Just shorten the length of this just a little bit. Not much. Anyway, and so what happens is you sit down, you have everything arranged so that your food is readily available at your sink and at your other countertop area over here, and you take and put your table in place, resting on the ledge back there with the pins in. You have your little table leg that sticks up through and holds this in place solidly, going straight down to the floor down below here. Right now I've got this in place because this is exactly 2 feet. And I wanted, this piece of plywood, actually this is going to be the base to the mahogany. That's what it's going to be laminated to. But anyway, that's the whole idea, and I think it's going to be really nice. And the cool part is, when you get done, you can always just take and pick up on the front edge of the table. The table leg comes out. Take the table out of the pins. The whole operation disassembles in a matter of a half a minute or less, and just slide it back into one of the cubbies here. So anyway, that's going to give me my next project at home, and that's the whole idea, is to have the next project lined up so that when I go home to Vermont, I'm working on it. I've got the next one that is well underway, and by the time I get down here next time, then I'll have another little piece of this stuff all done up. In other words, more of my interior woodwork and finish off. And there's, just like I did with these up at home. All this was done in Vermont and brought down here and put on the boat. So that's our next project. Get the table done, and I'll get the ledge put in later here. I'll do the ledge thing, and then I got to be done because I got to wrap things up here. That comes out. That's a little brace. Okay, here we go. You can just see what I've done here. I've just clamped this, but I'm going to have a ledge that's going to be, I think, screwed right up underneath this. This is really, really solid fiberglass work, and I'm just going to have a ledge that'll stick out perhaps an inch, maybe 3/4 of an inch, just wide enough coming out. And by the way, it is not at all in the way of stepping down onto your stand, onto your step here. I've tried it, and it's just completely out of the way. So that's going to work. So, all right, that's the next project, and looking forward to it. Been a great trip, and hope you've enjoyed restoring Little Girl. And it's been a little bit of restoring Little Girl, a little bit of kayaking, but all part of the fun. So hope you've enjoyed it, and we'll catch you on the next go around. Thanks for stopping by.